Hi everyone, my name is Tartan Kiwi, and welcome back to another episode of the Hytale News. In this video, we're going over 30 unique blocks that you might have overlooked in the world of Hytale, and why they could be exciting for builders and adventurers alike. Now, you may have noticed these particular blocks in the branches of trees and underground stalactites that vary in size to provide a more realistic aesthetic. However, as seen in the picture, they can also appear vertical, horizontal, and numerous in sizes. For the moment, we can best compare these to solid blocks, fences, half slabs, and posts in Minecraft. However, we won't know if we can craft each block style or not until the game is released, simply because so many are in the generated terrain. These blocks will no doubt come in handy for builders when making elaborate structures with more depth and detail, as you can see in this generated underwater ruin. The second block you might have missed are actually stone statues scattered throughout. It's difficult to make out exactly what these represent, as each one is different, but we can safely assume these are made by NPCs. It would be a nice addition to have the option of mining these statues, even with Silk Touch equivalent tool to use for personal decor. The next block is interesting, not only for its looks, but its potential dynamics in-game. These medieval-looking sharpened wooden pikes are very interesting. To provide some context, these pikes we see here are at the entry of a skeleton cave dwelling. Not only would these look great around the perimeter of a base wall, they could even be functional in damaging players, mobs, and NPCs that fall onto them. If so, this would make great booby traps and EXP farm equipment. Furthermore, NPCs may have the intelligence to use these blocks against players by them moving or regenerating to a different location when a player returns to the hostile NPC faction. That is purely speculation, however, it would add a great dynamic to the gameplay in the adventure mode. The next block, or should I say building material that you may have overlooked, is best described as some kind of cloth tarp. This thin material is featured prominently in most screenshots of prefabs and builds as umbrellas and shades. However, if you look closely at the Sky Wars map in the trailer, you can see just how paper thin this material actually is. The durability of shelter made out of this material is likely to be low, based on structural integrity alone. Thus, it's pretty safe to assume that this material might be easy and plentiful to harvest within your first few hours of playing the game. It may even be the case that a player could simply walk under the tarp, folding it back like a tent instead of being a solid wall at all. The umbrellas and shades are far more colorful, implying there may be potential to dye the fabric, although the tan does make it appear more like leather than cloth, so there could be more than one material capable of having these dimensions. Moving on to some themed items. It appears in this screenshot as though there might be some interesting storage options in Hytale, such as this piece of furniture that could be a wardrobe, a cupboard, or a food pantry. Then, to its left, we can see a biome-specific door, what appears to be a blank sign, a shelf, and closer to the foreground, a trapdoor. These blocks are most likely determined by the species or wood they are made with, much like Minecraft. We can also see benches, chairs, tables, windows, chests, and stools in different styles as well. Bamboo and more traditional oak. And is that light leather we can see placed on the floor? Of course, these are all great for allowing variety in building structures and minigame maps. Moving on to something more dangerous, we also have these stone blocks with lava veins. Aside from being obviously placed next to lava in the screenshot, they may act as an indicator for lava nearby when mining, as opposed to the lava drips we sometimes see in Minecraft. In real life, it also looks similar to what magma begins to look like as it cools. So it's possible that the block like this could form when lava meets water. Or if breaking it could indeed cost you some health when lava pours out of it. Even standing on it without heat deflecting armor could potentially do harm to players and mobs. For this reason, it'll be great to see in caves, minigames, and landscapes. Another block you might have seen but overlooked is shelving, specifically bookshelves. Here we can see some shelving units sporadically filled with books, and in one, a potion. In Minecraft, we know that books and bookshelves are separate items. However, it would be interesting if Hytale had shelf blocks that would store player-made books. The other possibility is that these shelves are random levels of full when placed, much like how leaf blocks rotate at random. In any case, until we know what these bookshelves can do, they are fantastic for homemaking builders. The next material showcased in the trailer is very easy to miss, and it's actually the chain dangling down on the right-hand side. Again, it has a great aesthetic for all sorts of building inspiration, but could it be functional? Keeping in mind that the material in the trailer may also appear once for purely visual reasons, but we also see chains supporting shelves in the farmhouse, and they just may be usable in-game for things like pulleys, retractable gates, and on castles, anchors, and more. So the next block is hard to miss because it appears in nearly every screenshot, but what are they for? Hytale seems to have a definite affection for pottery items that come in all sorts of shapes and colorings. They could be used for storage, or collector's items, to trade and decorate. The next block is a wool tapestry that is very peculiar. As you can see on this house, the walls are cream with wooden accents, although it's not entirely clear how those appear, whether they randomly generate as a pattern or are physically placed, toggled, or etc. We can see in this screenshot of another house a very similar design with a completely different pattern. Moving swiftly on, we also have what appears to be a functional furnace in this part of the trailer, very reminiscent of a clay pizza oven or a rudimentary fireplace. We also have these really interesting blocks here that seem to be pillars. Despite being placed right next to each other, they appear to be detached in the middle and have a nice detail toward the top of the pillar. Great for temples and breaking up monotonous wool textures. In this palm tree, we can see coconuts, and it appears that these coconuts could actually be approaching full-size blocks, much like the watermelons in Minecraft. In real life, coconuts are extremely dangerous due to the risk they pose of falling on someone's head. So it would be fun to see Hytale incorporate that into the game, as would other animals being able to harvest coconuts before you can get to them. This next screenshot looks as though rope fences have been placed, but they may simply be improvised with some other kind of wood. And in the top left, you can also see a hanging sign which is perfect for shop fronts. We're also being treated to what appears to be dried up foliage or bare branches if you look closely at the two of the trees. This could mean seasons having direct effect on textures of plants to imitate a life cycle. It would be worth discovering whether these can be harvested and used for fire starting or a bonfire. Or, if in warmer zones, they could lead to a dangerous bushfire when struck by lightning. So far, the only blocks we've seen burning in any Hytale media are campfires and these dead bushes. Moving through some more minor blocks, we have these understated grass blocks. However, unlike every other grass block, they aren't half dirt, half grass. So this could be some kind of mossy grass block. Interesting for builders and landscapers out there. We also have some barrels, where one could presume the use would also be primarily storage. There are lots of coral species to admire, and colorful coral blocks. However, this coral is peculiar. It looks as though it has spikes and could be dangerously barbed like a sea cactus, or simply be some type of algae. And finally, to wrap up this episode of Hytale News, we have some interesting containers or skins for torches and fire pits. These were an eagle-eyed spotting for our detail-driven builders out there, but could point to some more practical use of different types of containers for things and placeholders for fire. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you saw a block you hadn't recognized before. Comment down below with what blocks you're most intrigued about. See you in the next episode of Hytale News.